E aí, tá gostando da playlist Corra Numa Boa? Ela é um oferecimento do Itaú Uniclass para ser a trilha sonora dos seus treinos e te ajudar a seguir em frente. Pois na vida e na corrida, cada passo é uma conquista e merece ser celebrado. Itaú Uniclass, para você chegar lá.
Precisa ferir a pressão, medir a glicemia ou tomar uma vacina? Na Drogasil tem exames, testes e calendário vacinal completo. E o que é melhor, tem sempre uma Drogasil aí perto de você. É fácil, prático e rápido. Dá para ir entre uma música e outra. Procure nossos farmacêuticos. Quanto mais você conhece o que a gente faz na Drogasil, mais você se cuida.
Welcome back, Ram fans. This is Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are proud members of the Fans First Sports Network. That's fansfirstsports.com. You can also follow us on YouTube. Our channel is at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. You'll hear from my co-host, Tom, on occasion as well. Hey, we're not Rams insiders. We're just longtime fans who love talking about our Los Angeles Rams. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Rams Up, everybody, episode 481. And we're going to get into some power rankings that I ran across that I kind of like. I think they did a good job. And I'm also going to talk about camp battles we should be paying attention to. I think I'm going to try to touch on every camp battle, actually. I'm talking Ram camp battles. And I'm also going to give you, well, I came up with 32 roster locks at this point, and I'm going to tell you who they are. And when I say locks, I mean dead locks for sure, no doubt about it. So we'll see what you think of those. Share them in a minute. Hey, before we get started, let's talk about a player who wore number 81. Since it is episode 481, there have been some very good players that wore number 81 for the Rams. Oz Hakim, Torrey Holt, Ron Jesse among them. In 2014, Kenny Britt wore number 81 for the Rams before switching to number 18 in 2015 and number 18 when he came to LA with the Rams in 2016. So he was one of those guys that came from St. Louis to LA with the team. Big receiver, 6'3", 223, out of Rutgers, originally drafted by the Titans. Super talented. Never quite reached his full potential, in my opinion, but he was a good receiver, a very good teammate. In the 2016 season, he was wearing number 18 by then, but we'll roll with this. He became the first Rams wide receiver to reach 1,000 yards receiving since Torrey Holt 9 years previous. Finished his Rams career with 152 catches, 2,431 yards, 11 TDs. And you know, we all remember, well, most of us remember the golf cart incident on Hard Knocks. I did not like that look he gave the Rams, but he was known as a bit of a goofball, but he was also known as a very good teammate. There's stories out there about him staying late, working with Jared Goff on end zone fade patterns and such. Good receiver, good teammate, Kenny Britt. Number 81 for actually the St. Louis Rams, number 18 for the LA Rams. Now, about those power rankings, Frank Schwab of Yahoo Sports is slowly revealing his power rankings, and he got through number 14 where the Rams made their appearance. I'm going to give you a summary of the rankings. Teams of note, the Cardinals came in at 25th. I think they'll end up higher than that. The Saints, a team I previewed recently, came in at 24. That's about spot on. Didn't give the Chargers a lot of love, number 23, but the Chargers skill position group really is something to be concerned about. Seahawks, number 21, about right. Defending NFC South champions, the Tampa Bay Bucks, come in at 20th. A little disrespectful there. And the Jags, Frank doesn't think they're going to bounce back. They come in at number 19. And two teams that I think have been getting too much love. I think Frank kind of nailed it. Falcons, number 18. The Bears, number 16. And the Rams, number 14, the 14th best team. And I'm not really bothered by that when you consider who's ahead of them. Who's left in the top 13 that Frank hasn't gotten to? The 49ers, Cowboys, Eagles, Lions, and Packers. Can't really argue too much with that. Maybe have the Rams ahead of the Packers, but I'm not going to sweat about that. He has already called the entire NFC South, by the way. And in the AFC, the Chiefs, Texans, 3 teams from the AFC North, the Browns, Bengals, and Ravens, and then the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins. And I could take issue maybe with the Texans, Browns, and Jets, maybe even the Bengals, but Rams at 14, I'd probably have them in that 9 through 14 area as well. Obviously going to be a little bit biased. I guess I'd have them at number 9. But Frank Schwab, I think he did a pretty good job. My biggest question is the Chargers at 23. Overall, though, pretty good job. Okay, what I'm going to do next is walk through all of the camp battles, the ones that interest me, the ones that are unavoidable, really, questions the Rams need to answer, and these players are going to provide the answer on the field. First question, tight end. Who is going to be the starter? Tyler Higbee surely won't be ready to go. Colby Parkinson and Davis Allen. Are we perhaps being hasty if we pencil Parkinson in as the starter? Davis Allen might have something to say about that. And then there's Hunter Long. My gut feeling is Hunter Long will be fighting for that number 2 spot. If Parkinson's number 1, can Hunter Long leapfrog Davis Allen for that number 2 spot? Tight end, a really interesting camp battle. Next up, wide receiver. Who is going to be our number 4 wide receiver? The top 3 are penciled in. Kupp, Robinson, Nacua. Then you have Tutu, Tyler and Jordan. Tutu Atwell, Tyler Johnson, and Jordan Whittington. And yeah, there's some undrafted free agents, Xavier Smith as well, who could make a play, but I think it's between these 3. My money's on Tutu, but man, Jordan Whittington is just such a perfect fit for this offense, and Tyler Johnson brings a lot to the table too. Edge rusher, yeah, Jared Verse is going to be a starter opposite of Byron Young, but hey, is Michael Hoyt going to have something to say about that, at least in the early going? Is Jared Verse going to be out there for the first defensive snap of the season? He might not be. Now, he'll end up being a starter and getting more snaps than anybody except perhaps Byron Young, but I don't think we should totally write off Michael Hoyt. Now, it could be Hoyt moves to the inside more, giving Verse a clear path to the number 1 spot early in the season, opening day, for example. It may not be much of a camp battle, but I still think it's going to be a little bit of a battle. Don't count Michael Hoyt out. He warned us last year after the Rams drafted a couple of edge rushers, and he was right. Next up, CB2. Who's our number 2 cornerback if Trey White cannot go? If he's healthy, it's going to be D. Will and Trey White. Can pretty much pencil those guys in. But what if he can't go? Kobe Durant, Darion Kendrick. Our lads has Trey Tomlinson as a backup to Darius. So maybe he jumps over and plays on the outside. Man, his height would be a real concern. So, hey, your guess is as good as mine. I do not have an answer for you. How about QB2? And I'm really talking about week 3 when Jimmy comes back from his suspension. Stetson Bennett going to give him a run? That could be the case. My money's on Jimmy. If Stafford has to miss any significant time, I think they'll roll with Jimmy G first, week 3 and thereafter. Another camp battle on the interior offensive line after our 3 starters. Who's next man up? Now, Warren McClendon and Joseph Noteboom are both listed as backup tackles on our lads, so I'm rolling with that information. So who are we going to turn to on the interior? KT Leviston, Logan Bruss, is he going to stick around? Another rookie, Bo Limmer. I think he may be limited to center. I think he could play the guard positions as well. But if a guard goes down, do you want to take your backup center and plug him in? So there'll be a battle there. There's some other guys I'm not mentioning, but I think Leviston, Bruss, and Limmer, really the two rookies, Leviston and Limmer, are going to have a battle as far as who's the next man up. And an obvious camp battle, running backs 3 and 4. Kyren has to get the nod as RB1. Blake Corum will be number 2. Then you got Boston Scott, Ronnie Rivers, and Zach Evans. If the Rams decide to lean on Scott in the return department, maybe it's Rivers as the third running back. I think Rivers could also return kicks, so they may decide that that kick returner is also the number 3 running back, and if he's called upon to be the number 3 running back, the other guy starts returning kicks. There's going to be big-time battles going on at the safety position, but I'm not going to get into that. I've talked about that over at least 2 episodes. No reason to rehash that. How about linebacker number 3? Now, Jones and Roseboom are going to be the starters. Roseboom may not be out there that often as a number 2 inside linebacker. After that, Jake Hummel, Omar Spates, and Troy Reeder. Who's going to win that battle as the third inside linebacker? And you know what? I have no idea. Reeder has the experience. Hummel, good special teams player. They're going to plug him in as a linebacker as well, or strictly special teams. And then there's Spates, who's probably the most athletic of the 3. Hey, who's going to win the kickoff battle? Someone asked about this on the YouTube channel. Under the new rules, Ethan Evans could continue to be the kickoff guy because, man, he's got the size to play defense, 6'3", 231, something like that, because the guy kicking the ball is going to have to play defense under these new rules. But maybe Joshua Cardi is just better at it. Don't need a giant leg. Pretty much useless under the new rules. So Rams are going to probably experiment with both, see who wins that job. Both will be on the team, but who's going to be handling kickoffs? Now, I did talk about the defensive line because I think the top 6 is pretty much solid and not going to change, is my guess. Bobby Brown, Braden Fisk, and Kobe Turner, backed up by Laurel Murchison, Deshaun Johnson, and Tyler Davis. I think that's going to be the 6th. Maybe a 7th guy is included on this roster, but I don't really see a camp battle going on right now unless one of these guys surprises us, like maybe Tyler Davis makes a push for Bobby Brown's job. Could see that happening. Not a camp battle that I'm focused on right now, though. So there you have my camp battles. Think I covered them all, and in a minute, I'm going to get into my 32 roster locks for the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I'm not ready to update my 53-man roster prediction, but I am at this time willing to share my 32 roster locks. These are the guys that on opening day, I guarantee will be on the Rams roster, barring injury or trade. How confident am I in these roster locks? Pretty darn confident, but hey, I'm probably going to have 1 or 2 wrong, but let's give it a go. These are my roster locks opening day. Start with the quarterbacks. Now remember, Jimmy G will not be on the Rams roster on opening day, so I have 2 roster locks at the quarterback position, Matthew Stafford and Stetson Bennett. Easy peasy for the quarterback position. Next up, the running backs. I have 3 roster locks, Kyren Williams, Blake Corum, and Boston Scott. Scott is one guy that's really on the cusp, but I'm including him. I think they want him in the return game. Will the Rams carry 4 running backs? Definitely not 5. Ronnie Rivers, Zach Evans on the bubble, not calling them roster locks. Could be one of them, could be neither. The tight end position, this gets a little tricky because the Rams could have Higbee on the 53-man roster and then put him on IR so they can recall him. But I'm calling Colby Parkinson and Davis Allen the only roster locks. Higbee, they got to have him on the 53-man if they intend to bring him back, right? But I don't know what to do with him. And Hunter Long on the outs for now. He'll be on the bubble. His future on this team could depend on Tyler Higbee's health. the wide receiver position, I've got 4 roster locks: Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Demarcus Robinson, and Jordan Whittington. No, I am not including Tutu or Tyler Johnson. Both of them will likely be on this roster, but I'm just not feeling it as a no doubt about it roster lock for either of these guys. I may change my mind on Tutu next time we do this. The offensive line, I'm calling the 5 starters roster locks: Avila, Dotson, Havenstein, Jackson, and Jackson. And then there's the 4 guys that are probably going to be there as well: Noteboom, McClendon, Leviston, and Limmer. Now, Leviston and Limmer, there's a chance they could end up on the practice squad. Noteboom and McClendon, who knows? We don't really know anything about McClendon. Noteboom provides so much flexibility along the offensive line as a backup. But hey, could they move him? Very possible. He's another guy that's just outside my roster locks. He'll probably be there, though. The 3 special teamers, Ethan Evans, Joshua Carty, and Alex Ward, are all roster locks. Along the defensive line, I got 4 guys: Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Bobby Brown, and Tyler Davis. Deshaun Johnson on the cusp there. Could someone beat him out in this rotation? Very possibly. On the edge, Jared Verse, Michael Hoyt, Byron Young, and Brennan Jackson are all locks. Nick Hampton, O'Shawn Mathis, Keir Thomas scrambling for a roster spot. In the secondary, not sure if Trey White will be on this roster opening day. He probably will be. This injury, just don't know what to do with him yet. So I have 5 roster locks: Darius Williams, Kobe Durant, Cameron Curl, Cameron Kinchins, and Quentin Lake. Darion Kendrick, Trey Tomlinson, Russ Yeast, and Jason Taylor, not willing to call any of them locks at this point. Now, as I walk through this, I'm already second-guessing myself. There's 4 guys that I should probably reconsider. 2 of them, Tutu Atwell and Joseph Noteboom. Yeah, I could probably easily call both of them roster locks. And then the 2 injured guys, Trey White and Tyler Higbee, will likely be on this roster to ensure their availability later in the season. But their injuries were serious enough that, I'm just not going to call them roster locks yet. And there's one guy I kind of feel bad leaving off, and that's Russ Yeast. He's almost certainly going to be there. But remember, this is a 100%, no doubt about it, roster lock segment, so I left him off. There's my 32 roster locks. You'll have your receipt if you want to call me out in a couple of months. See how accurate I was. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.